just gonna, they've already met me. I'm Anastasia Dickey with the Sentinel at NIC, and this is Mary Havercroft. Am I saying that wrong?
It's Havercroft.
Havercroft.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Okay. It's a long one, but it's just Havercroft. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you are running for Zone 5 to be, you're a candidate for the NIC Board of Trustees.
Correct.
So I know that you have a lot of background with like the Lakeland School District and various schools in Rathdrum. Tell me a little bit about your story in getting involved with NIC.
Well, I've been retired, so I'm a retired educator, and I just have. It's fine. Like a lot of people, I've just been watching what's been going on at NIC in terms of the board and some of the decisions and just the chaos. And so it just was my turn to do something, and this position came up in my zone, and so I decided I thought I could help, and the more that I get involved with it, I just really, really feel like I have qualifications that I can bring to the job, and I would want to do it. So that's kind of how it came about.
So you're used to working in more of like an elementary school environment. Is that right?
My first job was, my first teaching, I started as a teacher, and so I worked mostly in elementary school, some middle school, and mostly with special education. So that's what I did when I was a teacher.
Okay, and so that's quite different than a community college as large as NIC. What do you think would be the biggest challenge for you in adjusting to that difference?
Well, let me go back a little bit in that book. After I was a elementary teacher for 12 years, I moved to the district office in the Lakeland School District, and I worked there for 21 years. And I worked with the special services programs, which are things like special education, but also Title I, English as a second language, gifted and talented. And I worked throughout the school district, so I went out to all of the buildings and worked with all of our students. So that included our middle schools and high schools. We have 2 high schools. And so that age gap gets a little smaller then, which I guess my point being that at that point I learned a lot more about the secondary students and credits and transition to colleges or to training, and actually was working in the district office when our district started to work with NIC with dual credits, and trying to build a partnership for dual enrollment. And then also I was there when K-Tech came about, which is actually within our school district. It's a joint project with all the local school districts and NIC. But so I was involved with our students going there, and I actually co-taught with another teacher at NIC for a while. In the evening, and did some classes also for U of I on the NIC campus. So I have had some experience at a higher level. It's just that I began as an elementary school teacher, and then I ended as an elementary school principal. So
gotcha, made the full round.
My middle had a little more experience with older students, and even some at the high school level. I mean, at the college level, but community college.
What would you say makes you more qualified than your opponent, Michael and Gilletta?
Well, I don't know if it's qualified, but let me give you just some of our differences. I mean, I feel like I have a real vested interest in our community. My husband and I have lived here for 44 years now, and we raised our children here, and we have grandchildren in this area, and we were both teachers, so we have a lot of students that have been involved in the community, but also with NIC. Our oldest daughter took classes there. Nope, that's fine. So I just have a real vested interest over time. And I know that my opponent has lived here about a year, maybe just a little longer. And so that's not that a new person isn't qualified, but I just don't think they have the experience and the knowledge of the community. In addition, I have 40 years of experience in education. I have a master's degree in educational administration. Education has been my whole life, and it's my passion. So I feel like that brings a different level of experience to the table. I know his background, he has some business background, which again is a very good experience for a trustee. But we have that in Brad Corkiel, and we also have that in Eve Knudsen. And so, mine is just a different experience, and I think that's a good one to have on a board for a community college. So those are some differences.
Okay. What do you think about your opponent's comment that in a postmodern world where we are told that 2 + 2 = 5 and that boys can be girls, the pursuit of truth is by its very essence socially conservative?
Can you say that again?
Okay, so Michael Angeletta's comment was, in a postmodern world where we are told that 2 + 2 = 5 and that boys can be girls, the pursuit of truth by its very essence is socially conservative. And just to put that into context, he was asked if he was socially conservative. And so that was his response. Now we have a club at NIC that is the Gender and Sexuality Club. So things like this will probably come up at some point, should you be elected as a board member. So what's your viewpoint on that? And would you consider yourself socially conservative?
I think that I'm conservative in that I am a person that tries to look at the whole situation, and I don't jump into change quickly, but I'm open to new ideas and new things. I believe college, we're talking about adults now, college is a place where we should be open to learning new things, being around people that don't have the same backgrounds or the same beliefs or the same social experiences we do. I think that's how we learn and grow. I don't think, I guess my immediate response was, I don't think he spent a lot of time in schools. I think that sometimes people jump to conclusions from what they've heard and what's going on in schools, and I don't think it's always accurate. And my experience has been when people are in schools and see what's actually happening in terms of the students that are there and the faculty, that a lot of things like 2 and 2 + 5, which I guess he's referring to the newer math programs, or we're telling people that girls can be boys, and I just don't, that's a very narrow viewpoint in my mind. And I think that part of a school's job, at least as I've been in, is that we need to be open to any student that comes to us And we, as faculty or teachers or a community, need to be accepting of other people. We need to learn to get along with other people. We need to be able to communicate with other people. So I don't know that that's not socially conservative. I just think that's part of being in any school or any institutional system, because as adults, to be successful, we just need to understand each other and be able to get along and communicate.